Alright, let's go find a new topic, shall we?
Explain your favorite Pokemon and why.
My fucking god, we're going back to
No,
Pokemon.
let's get off of Pokemon for a bit.
Digimon. I'm just kidding. Without going too much into politics, like this is something I've always thought about. Do you think the U.S. is making global culture worse?
What do you mean?
Because in the 80s and 70s, like just around like wartime, everyone was trying so hard to be like the West, right? So
Right.
everyone copied their music, their fashion, etc. And it's gotten to a point where the US is like their culture just dominates, right? So TikTok, for example, became popular first in the US, even though TikTok's a Chinese app. It became extremely popular in the US, and now the entire world uses it, right? Hip hop came from the US, and now I'm not saying hip hop made the music genre worse, but it's like pretty much everywhere. And now that since the US is so dominant, my perspective is that because we have such an influence, everyone else is trying to be like us, but slowly the US is becoming more questionable as a country. So would it be, I guess, a good thing that everyone else is trying to be like us?
I guess in the grand scheme of things, overall, a lot of people consider the U.S. just a giant melting pot of cultures anyway.
Yeah.
So because of that reason, a lot of people tend not to really, care, for lack of a better term, just due to the fact that people still consider the U.S. to be the main fucking, powerhouse, main superpower of the world. And they're like, well, as long as we remain at the top, ultimately, it doesn't really matter what the fuck happens. You know what I'm saying? If people want to, get really in tune and get really, hype about these, cultures and shit like that, that's cool. They can do that. I don't care. As long as no one tries to become, better than the U.S., it doesn't matter. I think the U.S. is basically that place where, as long as we're at the top, we don't give a shit. But the moment someone tries to dethrone us or take that spot, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah, definitely. We can already see that with just other cultures trying to, for example, K-pop. The U.S. is I know a lot of Americans are not happy with how dominant it's becoming, but also there are a lot of Americans who love it, just for the reason that it's something fresh and new, and it's more innocent than what U.S. culture is right now. And I remember when BTS won some award, something really big. A lot of people were mad because they were Korean. Same thing happened with Parasite. It's not fun that American culture is built in that way where we're just free to look down on other cultures.
I think the issue is that American culture is, if it's not American, it's not good.
Yeah.
How do you guys think this could have changed, I guess? Actually, now that I think about it, it's
kind of inevitable the way I see
it's
it.
kind of just
Yeah.
ingrained in the society of America.
Yeah.
which is the unfortunate truth.
I mean, think about it. This country was founded by white Europeans, and for as long as this country's existed, everything will cater to white people. Not to be all political and shit, but that's the facts. And any portrayal of any other racial minority group is either a caricature or a depiction of a stereotype. So everything white is right here in the United States. It's only in the past couple of years that other racial minority groups have seen proper representation. I'm not saying representation is bad or anything. It's just it's a little too late now, because everything in our society is based off the white standard.
Right. Kind of ironic because American entertainment is also trying to cater to the Chinese market.
Would it have helped if there was if we had this kind of representation we have now, a few decades ago? Maybe, maybe not. Maybe it might have been, regardless, it might have been too late for it to make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
And like you said, anything that's a direct competitor to American entertainment is just seen as inherently negative. Seen as a
Yeah.
bad thing.
And there are a few things that have slipped through, like anime. But then that just gave like things like Cartoon Network a little push.
Yeah, I remember like early 2010s, like cartoons was just at their absolute worst. And then a shit ton of anime started slipping through the gates.
Well, they also had Regular Show, which was not the worst. And Adventure
I
Time.
didn't like regular show very much.
Really?
I didn't really like the comedy of it. I didn't think it was very funny. I thought it was very ham-fisted and forced.
It was a little. I mean, it is dry humor-ish.
It was very, for the time, what would have been considered like edgy humor.
Yeah, which is what it was supposed to be. It's for like, it's like the transition from child humor to more mature humor. But I really enjoyed Regular Show for what it was. It's blended fantasy with like the reality of being an adult.
The only two like American cartoons that I think are some of the greatest are like Avatar: The Last Airbender and then Boondocks.
Absolutely, hands down.
I've always wanted to watch Boondocks and I haven't yet.
Ironically, those are the two cartoons that take inspiration from, well, Avatar obviously Asian, various Asian and indigenous cultures, and then Boondocks obviously African American culture. In my personal opinion, I think those two are hands down some of the greatest. I still have yet to finish the Boondocks.
Is it worth watching? Like, I've always wanted to start.
I definitely say it's worth watching. What is it? I believe the third season that they had released, that one was a bit more on the lackluster side, but every other season before that was phenomenal.
Nah, Jordan, whenever you heard that trombone, Uncle Ruckus,
I'm like, oh, no.
you already know he's gonna say some devious one-liner.
Every time this man was on screen, he was just being a menace.
102% African American,
Yeah,
with a 2% margin of error. Why? Jesus, why?